Michael, are you there?
Yes, Nick, we're here. Just 1 second.
Okay, we can't see you.
Yeah, I'm just about to turn on the camera. Just 1 second.
Anyone else have trouble getting in? It took like 5 times and finally it clicked.
Here comes somebody without a mask, man. Oh, no. That'd be a politician, Republican too.
Oh, correct. Good, all right. Yes, you did, now I can see.
Mitch, it is 3:30 and you have a quorum.
Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. We are in public session. It's Tuesday, March 15th, around 3:30 for Temple University Board. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully, this might be the last board meeting we have by Zoom. And we can all be together for the next board meeting. Hopefully, that will be something we can all do. So today, our president is not here, so we'll not have a president's report. So let's move right to the approval of the minutes of December 21st. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Let's move right to the committees. Recommendation for action. Let's go to the Committee for Trustee Affairs. Phil Richards.
Yes, there are a number of items on the agenda, recommendations for action. Number 1 is the re-election of Commonwealth trustee Patrick Larkin. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees, on the recommendation of the Commonwealth appointing authorities and the Committee on Trustee Affairs, re-elect Patrick Larkin for a term effective immediately to the Board of Trustees of Temple, and I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second recommendation is that the Board of Trustees, upon the recommendation of the President, the Committee on Trustee Affairs, appoint the officers listed below to hold such office in accordance with the bylaws of the university. First, Vice President, University Council Cameron Extazee. Second, Vice President for Finance and Treasurer David Marino. Third, Vice President for Human Resources Sharon Boyle. Fourth, Vice President for Institutional Advancement Mary Burke. And title adjustments, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Kenneth Kaiser. Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Valerie Harrison. Vice President and University Secretary Michael Gebhardt, and I so move. Second.
Having a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Third resolution, Mr. Chairman, is that the Board of Trustees, upon the recommendation of the Committee on Trustee Affairs, approve the resolution of appreciation for Daniel H. Covet. And I would like to amend that, Mr. Chairman, to include the result of the previous meeting where Margot was also included in that. Would that be appropriate?
Definitely.
Mr. Chair, that would be very appropriate as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Louis.
Great.
And I got the approval of Michael, so I would add Margot to that as set forth in Agenda Reference 3, and I so move. Second.
Motions first and second as adjusted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Fourth is the nomination of an honorary life trustee, Daniel Pollitt. Recommendation that the Board of Trustees, upon the recommendation of the Committee on Trustee Affairs, approve the nomination of Daniel H. Pollitt as honorary life trustee of Temple University of the Commonwealth System of higher education, and I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Borrowing authority, April 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022. The recommendation is the Board of Trustees authorize the officers to borrow for operating purposes of the university up to $30 million on terms and conditions to be determined in the discretion and best judgment of the officers. Such authority to cover the period from April 1st through June 30th of 2022 as set forth in Agenda Reference 6, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. I'd like to go back and I went out of order. I want to recognize Greg Mandel, who was going to give the president's remarks in absence of our president, who unfortunately is at a funeral today. Greg, I'm sorry I missed you.
No problem at all, and thank you, Chairman Morgan. No, I'm pleased to, as the President asked, substitute for him and just give some brief remarks to update you on some of the things happening at the university. It's been a busy couple months since we started back this spring semester. I thought I would briefly touch on where we are with respect to handling the pandemic, update you on the strategic planning process, and then discuss two of the task forces that we have recently launched as important initiatives at the university. First, on the COVID update, we are pleased, like everyone, to see the conditions improving, and it has been thrilling to see all the students and faculty coming back and around campus a lot more. These last 2 years have been extremely challenging for us all. Our community has faced great challenges, and we've responded with resilience and with flexibility. And we've been united in our commitment to keep everybody as safe as we can, while also getting us back together in person as soon as possible. Where we are right now is, as you know, the Omicron variant surge in January led us to do the first 2 weeks of the semester remotely. We also did not allow students to move back in the residence hall during that period unless they had a hardship. That proved to be a wise decision based on the high positivity rates in that period in January. But since that time, the positivity rates have declined every week, down to just about 2% before spring break. And in general, the return to campus after those first 2 weeks went very smoothly. So we're now have been back generally in person since that time. As many of you know, the city of Philadelphia has recently changed its COVID guidance. First, to no longer require proof of vaccination for dining and events, and second, more recently, dropping its masking requirements in general, and that dropping of masking requirements also applies to the institutions of higher education like us in Philadelphia. So we just announced last Friday that we are going to continue to require masks in indoor locations for the current week. And then, assuming trends hold, beginning on Monday, we will no longer require masks in most indoor locations. Masking will still be required in instructional spaces, so that includes classrooms, on shuttles, and on healthcare facilities. We'll, of course, continue to closely monitor the data and will make any adjustments as necessary, but we are expecting next week to have a significant change in the masking policy. That's the COVID update. Let me next talk about strategic planning. We're looking forward to, we're in the process of developing our strategic priorities. We're looking forward to sharing it with the university community this spring. As you know, the university started work on strategic planning before President Wingard became president. We had a robust research and assessment phase that was led by a 42-person steering committee with representatives from every school and college, every unit at the university. That was joined sort of in parallel with the Futures Committee made up of deans and some senior administrators. I was fortunate to co-chair that. And these groups, as you have heard about, involve many stakeholders from across the university, including students and faculty, administrators, community members, other folks outside the university. and gather information about Temple's values, our strengths, our opportunities for growth. So President Wingard has been building on this work, and we've been crafting a vision and strategic priorities based on all those efforts, using all the information that we've gathered in the assessment phase. In recognition of the central role that academics should play in our strategic planning process, and in a desire to make sure we are coordinating across all the different parts of the university, President Wingard asked me to head up our strategic planning process at this point and going forward. And I'm thrilled to be doing that. I'm honored to be doing that. So we're working together to identify aspirational goals and a series of strategic pillars, strategic themes that have grown out of this work that will lead us forward over the next period of time for the university. And once we have done that, what we're going to do is take this back out to all these stakeholder groups and discuss the pillars and get feedback on what initiatives we should stand up in order to move to achieve those pillars. So we're again going to engage in a very grassroots, widely distributed sort of crowdsourcing effort to get information. We'll of course share that with you as well. And we will be pulling that together into the strategic plan. The sets of initiatives, some of them will be very large and cross-cutting, some of them will be narrower. You'll be hearing more on this soon, and we're excited. That's a brief update on strategic planning. Let me close, as I mentioned, discussing two task forces, strategic initiatives that we've already gotten underway. I would say that these are certainly going to be significant parts of the strategic plan, but these were too important and too urgent and frankly, too obviously things that we had to be moving on for us to wait on them until the planning process was finished. So these are things we've started on. These are things we have all heard a lot about these concerns. One is the mental health and wellness task force. I think this is perhaps the most significant issue facing the higher ed community these days. If you know any students or other folks associated with universities, it's a very challenging time. It was a challenging time before the pandemic and has only been significantly exacerbated by the pandemic. So we have put together a task force that is chaired by Dan Berman, who is the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Studies, and Melanie Cosby, who is at the Lewis Katz School of Medicine, where she is the Director of Health, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We put together a task force that involves many faculty and staff with expertise in this area, as well as student representatives. And their charge is to assess our current infrastructure and programs, benchmark against peer and aspirational institutions, and then develop recommendations and priorities for what we need to do to better address our health and wellness needs in our community. So they're off and running. They're gathering data and health and wellness resources and beginning to identify focus groups of students and faculty and staff for qualitative input. That's a task force on mental health and wellness. And then finally, the task force on violence reduction, which President Wingard asked Vice President Valerie Harrison and I to put together as executive sponsors. We all know the significant impact that violence is having in our city, how it's affecting the university, both the reality and in perception. We're pleased that Associate Dean Jennifer Ibrahim, who I think some of you know, who's at the College of Public Health, will be chairing that task force. We put together a fabulous group of folks that includes a number of faculty experts in this space from across the university, including folks from criminal justice, nursing, communications, geography, urban studies, and public health. So in the last Board of Trustees update, I think it was in the very last one, there was an update about Katarina Roman, who's a leading national figure in violence reduction efforts in our criminal justice department, and she was featured there. That's all faculty. We also have administrators from campus safety and the health system, from the medical school, from student affairs, from community affairs. And then we have student representatives, we have community representatives, we have community members on the task force. So they have gotten started as well. Again, sort of beginning with assessing what we have in place, taking a look at peer and aspirational institutions, not just universities, but other large institutions and how they handle some of these issues, and developing recommendations both around what we should be doing with respect to our own campus, but what role we can play in violence reduction more generally, in research and efforts, both in North Philadelphia, in the city, and beyond. So I'm excited about both of these task forces being up and running and looking forward to seeing what they produce. And that is my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Provost Mandel. Sorry, I skipped over you, but they were important comments, and I appreciate your insights. Moving along to Budget and Finance, Trustee Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report of the Budget and Finance Committee is found at tab 7. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Gould.
Excuse me, Trustee Gould, you have those?
No, I do have one. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
There's a recommendation for action concerning the university housing rate proposal for 2022, 2023. And that recommendation is that the Board of Trustees, acting upon the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee, which met this morning, and the Student Life and Diversity Committee, which met yesterday, to approve an average increase of approximately 2.85% in the university housing rates for 22 and 2023, and that's set forth in agenda reference number 8, and I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Did we lose you?
Nope, I'm right here. Sorry, Mitch.
Okay.
It's
no
Paul.
problem.
All right, the
No,
alumni.
no, we lost. I think we lost the room.
Oh,
Mitch, we can still see you.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Now yeah, we lost you for a second. Sorry about that. Thank you, Trustee Gould. Moving on to alumni relations, Trustee Paul.
the Alumni Relations and Development Committee met yesterday. The Gift Acceptance Committee met earlier this year. And we have 4 recommendations for the board. First is that the Board of Trustees, upon our recommendations, recommends that the board approves the establishment of an endowed fund in the College of Liberal Arts as set forth in Agenda Reference 10.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second recommendation is an approval to amend the gift agreement. Again, we recommend that the Board of Trustees recommend the Board of Trustees approves an amendment to the gift agreement as set forth in Agenda Reference 11.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And our third recommendation is that the Board of Trustees, we recommend that they approve the naming of 9 lockers for the men's basketball in the Leocore Center as set forth in Agenda Reference 12. And I make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, we recommend that the Board of Trustees approves the naming of a locker for men's soccer in the Temple University Sports Complex as set forth in Agenda Reference 13. And I make that motion as well.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That ends our recommendations for the Alumni Relations Development Committee.
Thank you, Trustee Carrillo. Moving on to academic affairs, Trustee Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the report of the Academic Affairs Committee may be found at agenda item 14, agenda reference, 14. We also have 4 recommendations for action. Mr. Chairman, the first, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee that the officers be authorized to establish, restructure, and terminate various curricula in the College of Public Health as set forth in Agenda Reference 15. Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item, item 16. I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee that the officers be authorized to establish a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology in the College of Engineering as set forth in Agenda Reference 16.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, item 17, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee that the officers be authorized to rename and restructure various curricula in the Fox School of Business and Management as further set forth in Agenda Reference 17.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And our final item is item 18. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee that the officers be authorized to restructure the minor in screen studies in the School of Theater, Film, and Media Arts as further set forth in Agenda Reference 18.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes the report of the Academic Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Trustee Marshall. Moving on to facilities, Trustee Cardino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Facilities Committee met yesterday, and we have 7 recommendations for action. First recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee that the officers be authorized to proceed with the Sullivan Hall Infrastructure Renewal Project at a cost not to exceed $4,730,000. I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Second recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee regarding the vertical sewer riser piping replacement project in Temple Towers at a cost not to exceed $3,650,000. I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee that the officers be authorized to proceed with the HSC Dental School renovate and create an open innovation hub project at a cost not to exceed $3,473,100. I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee that the officers be authorized to proceed with the Dental School Digital Computer Lab Room 386 construction project at a cost not to exceed $2,598,250. I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee that the officers be authorized to proceed with the Mazor Gladfelter restroom upgrades at a cost not to exceed $1,500,000. I so move.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next recommendation is the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee to proceed with the Maine Conwell Hall elevator lobby project at a cost not to exceed $1,307,700. I so move.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My final recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the Facilities Committee proceeding with the Aramark Star Complex expansion for design services only at a cost not to exceed $790,000. I so move.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report for today.
Moving to the standing committees, report for information. Trustee Mills. Any additional information regarding number 27?
No. Mr. Chairman, I don't see Bill Mills with us, but no, there is no additional information.
I'm going to go through all the standing committees and from 27 to 34. Does anyone have anything to say or add to those? Okay,
No, Mr. Chairman.
No.
No, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to report to you that our temple health system is performing very well. We, as a committee, meet at February 17, received the most comprehensive and clear picture of where is our health enterprise going in Temple University. Give the strategic direction, the AAA, the access, assets, and academic. And as well as our interim dean in medical school, give us the financial performance, quality, and teaching performance, population health, and risk contracting. And I really appreciate their presentation and give the board a very clear picture and where we should go from here.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, trustees Lou. No one understands more than you how important the Health Enterprise Committee is, but thank you for all your work.
Mr. Chairman, in agenda reference 33, the listing of the meeting held on March 14th is listed there, and the approval of the housing rates, and the signing and the shaping of the college student programs and behaviors was cited, but the report of the university's new roadmap of diversity, equity, and inclusion presented by Valerie Harrison, new vice president, was not included in that reference. Very clear. I'd like that to be included.
Absolutely. We will revise the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson.
Are you calling for all the reports of the committees,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If you have a comment on your report, I'm happy to entertain.
Yeah, number 28, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Compliance Committee met yesterday to receive an update on the university's ethics and compliance program and review and consider other confidential matters. There are no action items. The quarterly report of the committee can be found at agenda reference 28. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Reed. Let's just keep going through. Trustee McNichol, did you say you had anything?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Mueller?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. We heard from Trustee Marshall. I think we are done. Let's go to the officers' report, the treasurer's report. Ken Kaiser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The recommendation is that the investment reports for the 3 months ended December 31st, 2021, and grants and contracts awarded between October 1st, 2021 and December 31st, 2021 be received. Said report being included and identified as set forth in agenda reference 35.
So moved.
Second.
I think a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. The Secretary's report, Michael Gephardt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report has 2 items. First, that the Board of Trustees approved degrees in course dated on or about May 5th, 2022. Candidates approved by the appropriate academic committees of the faculty, and the degrees in course dated May 5th, 2022, and presented on May 20th, 2022, to candidates approved by the appropriate academic committees of the faculty in Tokyo, Japan. Further, that degrees for the schools of podiatric medicine, dentistry, law, medicine, and pharmacy students who regularly complete their studies in May shall be dated May 5th, 2022, dentistry and pharmacy, May 6th, 2022, medicine, May 9th, 2022, podiatric medicine, and May 19th, 2022 for law.
Do I have a motion?
So
So
A
moved.
second? Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Does that conclude your report?
It does. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Okay, let's move to our guest speakers. I'm pleased to introduce Professor Williams Witherspoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Trustees, and President Wingard's absent Provost Mandel, and distinguished guest. As always, I bring you greetings on behalf of the Faculty Senate. First, I want to thank Chairman Morgan for meeting with the Faculty Senate Steering Committee at the start of the semester. The Faculty Senate Steering Committee members felt seen and heard thanks to Chairman Morgan's unwavering forthrightness and honesty, talking about the board's commitment to the Temple mission and vision, and for graciously talking more about the board and his initiatives as moving forward. So thank you again, Chairman Morgan, for visiting with us. I do hope as we move forward that we can find additional opportunities for faculty to meaningfully interact with Temple's Board of Trustee members beyond the typical but limited interactions of some faculty in the public sessions of Board of Trustee committee meetings, to perhaps one day even having 1 or 2 faculty members elected to the board, or per the Board of Trustee meeting notes from May 1969, the possible formation of a committee with joint faculty and Board of Trustee membership. We are more than halfway through the semester, as Provost Mandel has said. It felt like we started much earlier this semester, and it felt especially short for me, as we were tasked with compiling a report by early February for President Wingard, so my winter break was not a break. But students seem refreshed now following spring break. We were all getting that glazed look and were sorely in need of rest and wellness. And hopefully most of us had an opportunity to recharge over the break. But perhaps we can also revisit the academic calendar discussion when we didn't come back until after Martin Luther King's birthday, like many of our peer publics in the state, like we used to, especially in light of renewed commitments to DEI. Speaking of the president's report, President Wingard tasked the Faculty Senate Steering Committee with developing a proposal on, in his words, quote, how the Senate and its committees can better serve as a comprehensive body for strategic advisement, communication, and governance to advance Temple's academic value proposition, end quote. As a result, Faculty Senate Steering Committee members did a deep dive into policy archives, recording anecdotal narratives from faculty from across the university, and meeting with chairs of collegial assemblies. A subcommittee of the Faculty Senate Steering Committee put their report together on shared faculty governance and submitted it to President Wingard in early February, and then shared that report with the full faculty as well. As to next steps, we are looking forward to discussions with Provost Mandel about that report, the opportunities it presents, its findings, and prioritizing recommendations. And finally, I just wanted to mention and offer my congratulations to Vice President Valerie Harrison for the successful community event at TPAC during the Valentine's Day weekend. It was very well attended. From my own unit, the Center for the Performing and Cinematic Arts, the jazz faculty band was outstanding, and the renowned jazz artist Kenny Garrett was fantastic. It was wonderful to sit among community members, and while you couldn't see their faces because of mask mandates, the joy that exuded from their physicality and their bodies was evident despite the mask. My son and I were seated on the floor stage right, and by the show's end, community members were dancing in their seats and I was dancing in the aisle. And that's the kind of engaged community event that helps to heal old wounds. As someone who is both Temple made and a Temple faculty, those kinds of events always remind me of the kind of academic, social, and cultural anchor Temple can be in our community. I look forward to more, and that completes my report.
Thank you very much. I'm also Temple made, and you wouldn't want me dancing with you, though.
I'll come.
I think we could do a two-step. I think we could do it.
You'd have to teach me. Thank you very much, Commander. Moving on to our president, Bradley.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman, as always. This is actually my last speech before the Board of Trustees, before my successor is elected. So the next time that you receive a full formal address from a president of Temple Student Government, it will not be me. I've had an amazing and fulfilling experience in this role and during my last 4 years as an undergrad at Temple University. In fact, I've enjoyed my time at Temple so much that I'll be continuing my education here at the James E. Beasley School of Law. And so to the university that made me, I'm proud to say that I am Temple made and Temple proud. But yet there is still work to be done in my time in office. I continue to urge the Board of Trustees and the university to support the efforts of student affairs in establishing a permanent interfaith prayer space for our students to safely practice their faiths. I continue to urge the university to mandate the COVID booster vaccine. I continue to urge the university to institute wellness days to improve retention and academic performance. Student body presidents of Temple University have the opportunity to address the full board at public sessions. This gives me the opportunity to share insight into the state of the student body and the activities of student government, but this is not yet true representation for students. It is time that a student sits on the Board of Trustees as a voting member. It has been done at peer institutions like Penn State, and I don't believe that there is a reason that we cannot do it here. Perhaps most important to students, I urge the university to once and for all bring a Wawa to Maine campus. I think it would make
Hear, hear.
I think all the problems I just mentioned might be fixed. But in all seriousness, my team and I will continue to do the work of the student body until our very last moment in office. We've raised money for Afghan refugees, spoken out against the invasion of Ukraine, community together following a string of student deaths in December. Later this month, we will be traveling to the state capital of Harrisburg once again for 2 days of advocacy, one day in coordination with the First Lady of Pennsylvania and Swipe Out Hunger to lobby against food insecurity of college students, and another day to advocate for Governor Post funding for our university and to back up President Wingard's message at the Capitol. We will bring food blood drives, distribute free food, clothing, and masks, collect textbooks for students and free books for underserved youth in Philadelphia, and oversee a smooth transition to the next administration and the next TSG president while I'm at it. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time.
Thank you and good luck to you at the Beasley School of Law. 46 years ago, I left undergraduate and at Temple and went right to law school. So in 39 years, we'll hold the chairmanship for you. Okay. Bradley, you make us Temple proud. Thank you very much. We will miss your comments.
Thank you.
But maybe we'll have a Wawa before you graduate law school. Moving on to any old business. Do we have any old business? Any new business? This has been a very productive day. Can't tell you how grateful I am to be the chairman of Temple University. Every day that I think about what we do and our mission makes me proud and grateful for having the opportunity to serve. So thank you very much. And can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe, and hopefully next time we'll see each other in person.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.